Hello everybody, my name is Mathis Thiboutot and today I will be doing my product analysis for the Nintendo Virtual Boy. So the Nintendo Virtual Boy, which was originally released in 1995, was a 32-bit tabletop portable video game console capable of rendering stereoscopic 3D images and graphics. The Nintendo Boy was unlike any traditional console of its time, as it was a headset-like device that used visuals to create depth perception, making it one of the first attempts at virtual reality in gaming. During its launch, Nintendo claimed and promised that the Virtual Boy would totally immerse players into their own private universe. The intended target market for this specific product was also a shift from the typical teenager and child approach that gaming consoles had at that time. With a Virtual Boy, Nintendo targeted an older audience constituted of adults interested in new technology and gaming. The company also heavily marketed the product as a new virtual reality system, targeting an audience interested in 3D gaming. It is also safe to say that when released, the Virtual Boy was a disruptive innovation as it was a completely new product which featured new technology that aimed to revolutionize the gaming industry. So now for the strategy when launched. So when designing and launching this product, Nintendo aimed to differentiate and innovate the gaming industry. With this product, the company thought that they had in their possession a product that was completely revolutionary, new, and groundbreaking that would set it apart from its competitors. Nintendo used an exploration-heavy strategy that aimed to offer something completely new that had never been seen in the market or industry. This exploration strategy for innovation also forced Nintendo to rush and launch the product quickly before the release of their own Nintendo 64 console in order to stay relevant. The console was also marketed as being a premium futuristic console, which subsequently came with a hefty price tag of $200, which was really high at that time period. So now for the flop analysis. We're going to start off with the failure of the product itself. So the Virtual Boy is widely regarded as being Nintendo's biggest commercial failure as the product struggled to sell in the market. In fact, the product felt so bad that it was discontinued only 1 year into production and only 22 games were ever released for the console. There are many reasons and factors that led to the quick failure of the product. At that time, the console was priced too high and it was expensive, like I said. Many users also complained that the console caused headaches and eye strains, and there were limited number of games available, and the console was not portable whatsoever also. For the failure to launch, the Virtual Boy is a perfect example of a product which was rushed into the market without having clear demand and defined target market. Instead of taking the time to perfectionize the product, Nintendo decided to release the product even though it was still in the development stage. In this case, they prioritized innovation over exploitation. So for the operational failure, not only did the launch fail, but so did the operational aspects of the console. Users claim that the red monochrome display caused eye strains and heart headaches at the smallest usage of the console. In fact, people on Reddit forums say that even 5 minutes playing with the console was enough to make you feel as if your eyes would explode. The Virtual Boy also featured a weird design which was not functional or portable whatsoever. It required to be used in a weird posture which hurt the whole gaming experience. The user experience was said to be a complete disaster. So for the premise, the idea behind the product was good as 3D gaming was definitely innovative and ahead of its time. However, it was simply poorly executed. The consumers had not been asking for this specific technology and the product did not deliver a fun experience. So for the SWOT analysis, so we're going to start off with the strengths. So it was an innovative idea as it was the first console to offer 3D gaming. The product was also backed by the brand's strong positive reputation and history. It was a unique concept that was different from its competitors. For the weaknesses, as mentioned, the display caused eye strains and headaches. It was not portable, and the usage position was uncomfortable for many users. There were also a low number of games available. For the opportunities, it had the potential to become the first successful virtual gaming console. It was working in an emerging 3D and VR market. They had the opportunity to make more games available to expand their library, and they also had the opportunity of making upgrades and enhancements, continued development over the years of the products. So for the threats, competition from other gaming console, skepticism towards this new technology as it was unproven at that time, and there were also high expectations from the public. So now for the pestle analysis, we're going to start off with the political factors. So import and export laws. At the time of its launch, there were no major restrictions on electronic goods or video games. Trade relations, the worldwide trade relations in the 1990s were good, hence making it easy to export. Global markets stable with no major wars or conflicts. Now, for the economic factors, the economy of the 1990s was good and people were spending their money. People had relatively good income at that time. Competition, while other brands such as Sony were offering good technology, video games were competitive prices, which created lots of economic competition. Production costs. The production cost of the new 3D technology used in the Virtual Boy was costly, which therefore created lower profit margins for Nintendo. Technological factors. It was new technology. The Virtual Boy presented and brought to the market new technology, which was enticing and interesting for many. Competition. Once again, competition offered better consoles and technology at lower prices. Even though 3D was new, other brands offered better all-around products. It was badly tested technology. Since the product was released prior to the end of its development, the technology was not well fully developed and proven yet. For the legal factors, there were health and safety concerns since the product gave bad eye strains and headaches. Nintendo were forced to add safety warnings and labels only a few months after its release. There were also legal troubles. Well, nobody actually sued Nintendo, but it was discontinued before somebody did. And for the environmental factors, well, there are not many environmental factors that had an impact over the Virtual Boy. However, it could be mentioned that the bulky box was not waste efficient. So for the risk uncertainty management. So in this situation, what would have been the best solution to manage the uncertainty around this product would have been to postpone the release and wait for the end of its development. During the release, the product faced lots of uncertainty due to the fact that it was new technology and Nintendo were well aware of the situation. Instead of taking notice of the red flags, Nintendo decided to go forward with the premature release of the Virtual Boy. They should have waited for the technology to be well developed and refined before actually releasing the unfinished version of the product. Another recommendation would have been to increase the game library, as only 22 games were ever available and offered, which is definitely not interesting for many new customers. So, what could have been done in this case? So, the Nintendo Virtual Boy was a product which actually had lots of potential, but it mainly failed because it was just simply badly executed. Before its release, Nintendo should have improved the overall design to increase the comfort for the users. They should have undergone testing to make sure that their product was easy, comfortable, and ergonomic for every user. In my opinion, another crucial aspect that could have been reviewed is the pricing. Priced at $200, it was too expensive for many, especially since it was unproven technology. Before launching the product, a market analysis covering customer trends and demand should have been done to better price the product. Also, as mentioned above many times, a larger and better game library should have been explored as only 22 games is not enticing. Nobody wants to spend 200 bucks on a console just to have 22 games ever available. So during its release, expectations at Nintendo head office were high and unrealistic, which caused significant problems. So with this said, thank you for listening and taking the time. And here are the references if ever you need them. Thank you and have a nice day.